Why do dancers look so elegant when they move? And can we emulate their grace as we move? The answer is yes, mostly. Dancers have had years of training to build their strength and their fluidity and their grace, so they sort of naturally do that. We do want to work on our strength and work on the mobility, and that's part of what I'll be talking about today. But let's start with the first thing. Start with the core. You've heard of the core. It's not just the abdominals. The core system is pretty much everything from the top of your base of your skull all the way down to your middle thighs. Is the abdominals, the back, the chest, the upper back, the neck, the upper arms and shoulders, the upper thighs, hips, and glutes. We are contracting those muscles to maintain the stability in the torso. Think about sucking the belly in and then release it like 20%. That 80% contraction, that's where we want to be. You're squeezing your inner thighs, you're pulling the pelvic floor muscles up. When you start doing this, you might feel a little sore because all of these muscles might not have been worked yet. Imagine your body as a great big burrito. To wrap the burrito up, you have to put all of the ingredients, all of the organs, all the everything into the middle. So think about squeezing everything. There's just a gentle relaxation. And then everything else, all the fascia, all the muscles are wrapping around. So think about wrapping the ribs, but lifting up, pulling the abdominals in. You might even squeeze the glutes a little bit. That's part of the wrap. Once you get that wrap nice and tight, that's when you can start to move freely. And initially it'll feel like you can't quite move, that you're like this. But as you get stronger, as you develop the habit of wrapping in, then you'll start to move more freely. Shoulders back. When we start to wrap in and pull the abdominals in really tight, what we'll tend to do is compensate with the shoulders going up. So you got your abdominals in, your inner thighs are squeezing up, everything's lifting a little bit. Roll the shoulders open. Rather than overcorrecting and taking the shoulders all the way back here, think about the midline in the body. So rather than rounding forward, which is what we often do because we're looking at devices, think of opening them a little bit. What you'll tend to do, and this is actually a good thing to do, is really open up and squeeze the shoulder blades, exaggerate it, and then go somewhere in the middle. Sometimes we have to feel the difference between the rounded and the lifted so that we can find the middle ground. The middle ground feels like you're lifting from the sternum. So instead of only rolling, which can still kind of sink, you're wrapping in, your navel is up. You see how that's a very slight change, but it's a powerful change. You're rolling the shoulders back, pulling up and in. There you go. The next part is thinking of lifting from the back of the head. So we get the wrap, we get the lift, and what often happens is when you think about lifting from the top of the head, a lot of people start to do this. The chin goes up, and now you're looking up my nose, and I don't really want you to have that view of me. So I have to make sure that my chin is forward and even occasionally a little bit down. What we often take for granted and forget about is the importance of the articulation of our feet. So we will start these exercises from the ground up. We're gonna start with foot mobility. So if you need to hold on to something, hold on to something. We'll start with the right foot, come up to the ball of the foot. So you're kind of pushing into the toes a little bit and then push up all the way to the top, but use the strength of your feet rather than the strength of your leg. Use the strength of your toes and then lower down to the ball of the foot and then come all the way down. We're coming up to the ball of the foot, all the way up to the toe, down to the ball of the foot, and all the way down. Now, initially you might not have this mobility. I have it because I was a dancer. So try the other leg. Do it about 3 times, 3 to 5 times. If you're feeling ready, then push off the foot, push off the toes, and lift the foot up. So you go to the ball of the foot, you push off the toes, and it creates a little lift. It'll seem like you're using the thigh, but you're not. You're pushing off the toes. You're getting the toes so strong that they'll shoot the foot off the floor. Now, if you have any foot issues, work within what you can do in your feet. We want to make sure we do the other side as well. Toes will move as you go to the ball of the foot and as you push up to the tops of the toes. So just know that that little adjustment of the toes is completely normal. Do that about 3 to 5 times. And then if you're feeling it and you want to push off the toes, you push off the toes. Don't worry about whether your foot is fully pointed or flexed or whatever it looks like. And it doesn't have to look like my walking. If you have the space to walk through space, like your lunch hour, you go for a walk, then walk. If you have to do this, then you can march in place. Maybe you take knees up, high knee marches. When you're marching, what I want you to notice is that you're using your feet. You're using your feet to push off. Yes, you're working the legs a little bit because if you are getting the knees up, you're starting to work your legs. You're moving your arms, but this is a great way to build mobility in the legs, the feet, the ankles, and even in the hips. Speed up a little bit. It's okay to get the heart rate up just a little bit because this is really about getting the blood pumping and the body moving. We're working the hip flexion and extension so that we gain the mobility in the hips. So you might have to hold on to the wall, the furniture, make sure you're on a stable base. For hip flexion, pulling the knee up and then lowering it down. And maybe you switch exactly to the other side. Go a little bit slower here so that you really work on building the strength and maybe even hold it at the top. Doesn't matter what your foot does for now, your foot can be relaxed and then lower it down. Do that a few times. And then I want you to lift the leg up and extend it. Bring it in and lower down. Other side, lift it, extend it, bend it, and lower. We're gonna take it to the back. I'm gonna be mindful of my little plant here. Hopefully I won't kick her. Bring your knee up and push the foot back. You can flex the foot, think of pushing through the heel. Bring the knee in and lower it down. Other side, pull the knee up, push the foot back, pull it in. I would say do this a few more times than you do the front kick because we tend to be pretty weak back here. And not only does this help build the mobility in the hips, but it also helps us build the glute strength. You know, that's why dancers have such phenomenal booties, is because of these extensions in the back. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about mobility. I'm holding on with my left hand. I'm moving the right knee. Pull the knee up and then rotate the knee open and then lower it down and then reverse it. So open it out to the side, bring it back to center, and then lower down. Do that 3 to 5 times. Always want you to maintain the control in the standing leg. Let's switch it out to the other side, 3 to 5, rotate, bring it down, lift it, bring it in, lower down. I'm holding on to the furniture so that I have it. If you feel like you can do this without the furniture, then do it. You really have to lift the core muscles up, the pelvic floor muscles up to be able to do this. And if you lose your balance a little bit, it's really okay. No big deal. It's hip circles. You can probably hear my hips. I know this looks silly. It looks like you're doing hula hoop. And if you have a hula hoop, it's a great thing to do. Not only does that build strength in the abs, but it also builds your mobility in the hips. So just like you have a hula hoop, circle it around, do 3 to 5 in each direction, switch it out to the other direction. This is good for the low back and the SI joint too. I tried to do a hula hoop and I think it was a really cheap hula hoop is what I'm gonna pretend, but I was not very good at it. If you want, you can switch it. One circle, then the other. One circle, and then the other. We used to do this in jazz class. A little Fosse-esque. Shoulders and arms. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Roll it forward, roll it back. You notice how I'm letting my arms go? Let your arms go. Initially, you might not have the same mobility, but you don't have to. Just start where you are today. One arm at a time. Circle it up and around and bring it in. Reverse it. Everything we do in dance training, we do one direction and then we do the other direction. We do one side and then we do the other side. Always. And circling around, you go to however far you can. If your shoulder mobility is such that you're here and you can circle it around to there, then that's what you do. That's what you start with. If you can go a little more, you go a little more. If you stop right here, that's okay. Take the arm out and down. And in fact, you're starting to work a port de bras that way. Let's do the other side. Circle it around. Circle it up and around. Up and back. Even though I'm working on the shoulder and warming up the shoulder and the arm, I'm still thinking about the core system being up. I'm still working my posture. Everything we're doing is to affect the posture. When the posture is lifted, that's when we look younger, healthier, more confident. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Head and neck, your stance, be with your knees bent, pulling the navel in and keeping the back long. And the shoulders a little bit open. You can look over your right shoulder and bring it back to center. Take it over to the left. Breathe here, bring it back to center. You notice how I'm moving? I always have to move. You can move, you can find stillness. Let's add on. Chin towards over the right shoulder. Bring your chin to chest. Roll it over and roll it up. Reverse it. Chin to chest. Roll it up, roll it over. I'm leaving my hands on my legs. That just was what feels comfortable to me. If you want to let your arms hang by your sides or put your hands to your hips, maybe one feels better on your neck than the other. 3 to 5. I start to tilt the tailbone back, but we're going to keep it navel up and in. Last one. Now we're going to take it the other way. We're going to take it from here. Lift up and over. Lift up and over. You don't have to go as high as I do. Maybe you do. Maybe go all the way up. When you're taking the head up, watch what the shoulders do. We want to keep the shoulders not forward, but open. If you're forcing your neck, your shoulders are going to go like this. Your body will compensate. If you can keep your shoulders open, then lift it up. If you're not able to at this point, then think about rotating this way, going forward, and looking up a little bit with your eyes and bring it down. Look up. Make a big arc with your eyes or your head. To round out the mobility exercises, I want you to just move. I want you to shake your legs, your hands, your feet. I want you to shake your hips. If you move silly, move silly. Do a little salsa, do a little jump, twist it out. Just move your body. If it feels like you're flailing, flail it. But just make sure you flail in the other direction as well. Move it around, move your feet, circle your hips. Shake it out, take it down to the floor. Bring it up, shake it out, take it down to the floor, shimmy it out, shimmy, shimmy. Maybe you shimmy your hips, whatever you do, maybe twerk it out. I don't know what anybody does anymore. I don't go to the club, so I don't know what that, I don't know. Just shake your booty, shake your whole body, shake your feet, shake your arms. If you want more little segments like this of moving the body, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll make more of these. We'll see. Transitions. This is more fine-tuned than everything else we've done, but it does make a difference. If you've ever watched a dance performance, if you saw them go from one posture and then walk over to the next position, you would notice it and you'd think that was kind of a little bit clunky, unless, that's purposefully in the piece and that's what it's about. But on the whole, we're talking about that smoothness, one position to the next. And the way that happens is there's positions of the arms, but within each position, so from first position to second position, we don't go here, lose it, and then go here. There is a thread that pulls it all together. There's the transition from one to the next. Now, the way we do that in dance is we think of pulling out and even lifting through the chest. So you pull and open. So you are aware of every movement. How do we translate that to what we're doing? If we're walking, rather than walking like this with our heads down, looking at the floor, looking at our devices, and not paying attention to our surroundings, we look a lot less graceful. Part of it is the lift, and the other part is that when we're walking smoothly. The thing to remember about dancers is they've gotten to habitually be where they are. They're no longer going through the steps, each step in their mind. A dancer will walk like this. They'll do toe ball heel, push off the back foot, turn everything out, rotate, bring it through coupe, reach the toes forward, toe ball heel, and go through the motions that way, keeping the lift here and also whatever's happening with the upper body. That becomes habitual. Initially, when we start to move this way, you kind of have to think about every movement. So rather than just clunking the feet down, which I do that, I walk around like that, especially when I have my baggy slippers on. Instead of that clump, think of controlling the movement. So you don't necessarily have to go toe ball heel like a dancer does, although that is a bonus if you can swing that. Think of landing softly on your feet. You are rolling through the foot. Feel like you're kind of having to balance to step forward and then balance to step. And it feels like, wow, I'm all over the place. I can't do this. I'm all over the place. That's only because you haven't done it before. Wrapped up your burrito. You're rolling the shoulders back. Just enough of the fix-ins are sticking out. That's your face. You're beautiful. You're doing it. Step forward. Push off the back foot and step forward again. The way that we bring the awareness of transitions into our daily lives and our movements, move a little bit slower. It will feel like you're moving super slow, like you can't get anywhere fast enough. When you're talking with someone, you're looking at them, you're listening, and then you go to turn, and instead of just like that, you turn and then you go. You see how there's a little pause there where there's a moment, and it's split second. It's not going to take that much more of your day. So you're looking, you're seeing where you are, and then you need to change directions. You look, you rotate, and then you step forward. Because you're building the strength and the mobility in your feet, your ankles, your legs, your arms, and everything, and you're wrapping in, you will start to move more smoothly in your feet. Notice the more you lift up, the lighter you get on your feet and especially on your heels. One of the things that dancers have to do is learn how to walk on the ball of the foot. Instead of thinking lifting the heels up, think about going light. And it might look a little funny at first, but it's gonna feel a little bit funny at first, because if you're not used to standing and walking and moving like this, then it's gonna look a little funny. But let yourself have some fun. Why do we have to be perfect at everything right off the rip? That's so boring. If everything we did was perfect on the first go round, then we would never have the desire to go beyond where we've gone. So let yourself be silly, let yourself fall a little bit or stumble. And finally, it's the elegance factor. The elegance of dancers moving comes from their strength to give them that sense of lift. Final little piece, what we refer to as épaulement. That means the lift of the shoulder. You'll notice in dancers, especially in photograph, there's always certain rotation for the shoulders, and there's a gaze over the shoulder. So sometimes your chest is open and your chin is down and your head is dialed over here, but your gaze is towards the camera. And that's a way of kind of playing with the alignment. Whether you're lifted and opening through the chest, you see how that subtle difference? So I'm not rounding, but I'm shifting forward, maybe looking down, looking up, lifting through the chest, looking up, looking over. It gives you different feelings. And that's the elegance factor. So if you're talking to someone over here and someone catches your eye or your awareness, you simply look. Nothing changed, except for the chin went down a little bit, and you're looking up through the eyes rather than directly rotating. And that's a statement too. You start to learn where these nuances are. It comes in from knowing that we're not in a hurry, that we have plenty of time, that the spotlight is on us, and as we move intentionally. Whether we're looking away, we want you to see our profile, or whether we're looking down and maybe even pensive. If you're looking for a little look at my back, you can still look. Not that you're gonna do this with your arms, but just in case. Even with your hands behind your back, if you're simply standing, if you've ever seen Degas, the dancer, standing casually with her arm behind her back, but somehow, because there's the lift, it looks so intriguing because there's still that sense of how dancers move. That's the elegance factor. It's the little eye gaze shift. It's the chin shift, the shoulder shift. As you get comfortable with moving your body and getting adapted to wrapping in and yet moving, you will get more and more comfortable. It might take a little time. Maybe you feel it. Maybe somebody notices. Maybe they say, what's going on? What's different for you? You can simply say, I'm working on my posture. Remember that posture is more than poses. It's an active integration of your strength and your mobility. So by working both, by walking, by strength training, by maybe taking a dance class, because that's a great way to learn all the parts of you that are working when you're held up and when you're moving, whether you're seated or standing. You will notice the difference in how you feel, and others will notice the difference in how you look. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how it went. If you tried any of these things, before you start any activity, any strength training, any mobility exercises, check in with your healthcare professional. My name is Sid St. James. I'll see you soon. Ciao.